Joined by I-24 News Middle East correspondent Emily Rose.
Our Middle East correspondent, Emily Rose, joins me now live with our Middle East correspondent, Emily Rose.
Well, Caleb, earlier we saw that the protesters were actually being told to disperse by the police, who were using a megaphone to try to tell these protesters to move aside. And they didn't listen. They didn't go home as they were told to do. I'll show you a little bit about what's happening behind me here. They've lined up. They're stopping these people from moving, from going any further.
And Emily, it's looking a little more boisterous than what we saw earlier in the evening.
Up until moments ago, these protesters had stayed on the sidewalks, on the sidelines. But now you can see they've come out into the streets. They're crowding the streets now, and they're going on a march. We're going to go a little bit with them and see what's going on here.
Emily, Lag BaOmer probably usually the busiest night anyway of the year for firefighters, but certainly a special emphasis on this holiday.
Yes, actually, right now we are in Bnei Brak, which was considered the epicenter of this crisis just a few weeks ago. And here, these firefighters are really looking out for any issues or any incidents that may get out of control. Now, ordinarily on Lag BaOmer, they would be dealing with a whole array of different fire-related incidents, from burns to burn victims, to having to put out fires that people started but couldn't keep control of. And tonight, as we've been patrolling this area, we've seen that it's mostly been calm, and that's because of a regulation that's been put in place. Anyone who does start a private fire could even be slapped with a 500 shekel fine. That's about $150. Pretty steep for what is just a holiday ritual. It was quite simple. They stuck a swab in one side of my nose. What has it been like when everything has been closed, business has been closed? Has it been hard to do business? Actually, this business behind me has developed this very interesting model. They're giving the customers picnic baskets. The food is to go and take out, and they're giving them a blanket and offering them the ability to have an outdoor picnic. Well, Jonathan, history is being made over here. This is a shipment of cargo that just arrived from the Emirates. What do you think are the best cultural practices that Israelis should know when they want to go visit the UAE?
Well, there is a lot to coffee.
So can you tell us a little bit about that visa agreement? Why is it such a big watershed moment?
Wow, I mean, we didn't even have travel between the two countries.
Here in Ramallah, in the central square, Manara Square in Ramallah, the atmosphere is absolutely bustling, but also there's overwhelming uncertainty, unsure if Israel will go through with plans to annex parts of the West Bank. I'll move aside so our cameraman Oren can take you to the scene that's manifesting behind me. And what you're seeing is, as you mentioned, a product of that day of rage. What I've been told by locals is hundreds of protesters.
Emily, tell us more specifically about the risk and the fears of a violent confrontation if any annexation proceeds.
Yes, Jeff, I've just spoken with Dr. Nabil Shah, he's senior advisor to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas on the issues of international affairs. Now, earlier this week, he told Palestinian media that, quote, if Israel does go through with those plans to annex, Palestinians might not be obligated to stay within the rules of engagement.
Have you seen signs yet of just how the army is preparing to deal with such a confrontation?
Well, certainly the Israeli military here is on high alert, and we're hearing some shots behind me. That's likely the use of tear gas canisters, so I'm just going to step aside again so you can see. They collectively gathered. They didn't say when they were going to do this, but simultaneously and spontaneously, they all gathered together and started walking down this boulevard. This time around, we saw the campaign kind of switch gears and try to pick up votes from the Jewish sector as well. We saw that in the last round as well as this round. Do you think that goal was met in terms of the achievements of the joint list? We have to remember that the king in the past, in his 22 years, was also very skilled at fighting a lot of these Islamist undercurrents, like Al-Qaeda, like the Islamic State. And so he's managed to be quite the diplomat again in balancing those relations with the United States, but also confronting a lot of those Islamist movements. Echo Peace, a cross-border organization founded with the signing of Israel's peace treaty with Jordan in 1994, is running projects to clean up the river. Adam Cassis, Latroon's head winemaker, gave us an inside look into how each of these products is made. Suhail Taljia founded this marble company, Jerusalem Stone Group, just outside of Bethlehem, which exports to countries all over the world, and mainly the Gulf. It's a mixed city with mixed opinions. Here at the Jerusalem municipality, officials told us that they hope to see a change in East Jerusalem, and that's why they're building Silicon Wadi. But when we spoke to residents in Wadi Joz, they say that change isn't welcome. I'm Emily Rose, reporting from Jerusalem. I'm Emily Rose, reporting from the Palestinian city of Ramallah. Emily Rose, I-24 News. The Christmas spirit here in Jaffa is taken to the streets, and we're here with yet another band, a group of international students from the Weizmann Institute and the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and they're just going to sing us out for the last broadcast of the evening from Jaffa. This is Danny. Danny, what are you going to sing for us?
Joy to the world.
Joy to the world. Here we go.
Joy to the world.